Hey, good evening, everyone. Give me a second here. I'm just getting set up. Then we'll just jump right on into it. Hope everybody is having a great afternoon. I know it's pretty warm out for Southern California. So let's go ahead and get into this video. And if you guys want, I would definitely appreciate it if you could share this channel around other social media so that way other people are informed or at least see the information and definitely be helpful. Okay, so I take it you guys all watching this video because you heard SHE Beverage is getting sued by the SEC. A number of primarily residents in the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, were swindled or defrauded, according to the articles by the SEC and also the press, that this beverage firm was sued for fraud. And primarily they swindled $15 million out of AV residents locally in Palmdale, California, probably other areas as well. And so I do have a copy of the complaint filed by the SEC, which we will get into in a little bit. What I'm going to try to do is spend about a minute on each page because there's about 30 different pages. And so I just want to give you guys my input, the information that I, believe in conjunction with the word on the street and as well as some additional facts. Because this is really heart-wrenching for a number of people who invested $300,000, $200,000, $50,000. And the sad part is a lot of these people who invested their money back in, I think they started back in 2016, 2017, whatever it might be. If they had taken their money, the same money, even if it was over $20,000 and invested it in Bitcoin, they'd be millionaires as of right now. I know a number of gentlemen who took 20,000 invested into Bitcoin back in 2017, 2018, and they're millionaires now. So I definitely want to get into this, the article, because there are a lot of alleges here. And I do believe in the process of law that somebody is innocent until proven guilty. I totally believe in that. However, with this particular situation, there's just way too many red flags and things that people in the community can research themselves. One of them being, which is actually listed here in the complaint, is that they were operating without a securities license. And you can do that. You cannot operate without a securities license. And that's something anybody can look up. I can tell you that years ago, World Financial Group, People Helping People, and I think Primerica, they had reached out to me several years ago, and they told me if I wanted to be involved, I would have had to pay $75 just to get started with life insurance. And so primarily with that, you do have those concerns that you still need to be licensed to take care of issues like that. And so let's go ahead and get into this topic here in regards to the beverage firm being sued. Now, I believe this is coming from the AV Press. Beverage firm sued. Fraud is alleged. The Securities and Exchange Commission filed suit against SHE Beverage and SHE Beverage Inc., a women-owned company based in Lancaster, California, that markets beverages to female customers for allegedly defrauding more than 2,000 investors out of millions of dollars, half of which financed luxurious lifestyles for company executives, according to a complaint filed Tuesday by the SEC. In the 29-page complaint, the SEC said SHE Beverage Company raised more than $15 million between 2017 and 2019 in unregistered stock sales to more than 2,000 investors across the country. The suit named SHE Beverage co-founders, CEO Lupe L. Rose, 52, and Chief Financial Officer Sonja F. Shelby, 58, both of Palmdale, along with Chief Operations Officer Katherine Dirden. Now, the word on the street is Lupe is the primary individual that was kind of responsible for a lot of stuff. That's my understanding. And the word on the street is she's in hiding, and because she's been getting death threats. That's the information I've heard on the street. And then, of course, you have Katherine Dirden of Lancaster. The SEC says SHE Beverage overstated revenue, falsely represented to its investors, and they used 30% of proceeds to purchase beverage inventory. So obviously, you guys can read all the article. So my main concern primarily in regards to this is having this information. SHE Beverage made a number of claims over the past few years. One of those particular claims came to mind to me was that they were promoting that this beverage could cure cancer. And so I was actually thinking about that several days ago when I heard about this. And lo and behold, it is in this complaint that they were alleging that this water could cure cancer. And this beverage wasn't even approved by, what was it, the FDA or the medical organization team that normally approves those kind of things. So they were making people believe that if you drink this water, it will eventually cure your cancer as well as something, lipophobia. It's in the article. I'll get to it. In addition to that, there's some additional red flags in regards to this as well, in terms of them not notifying people on a consistent basis. I know they do have a website up. I'm not sure who made that website up that shows annual numbers increasing or decreasing. But yeah, so let's go ahead and read this. So this was filed back on September 14th, and this is also public. Again, you can find this posted at the top of the chat session, and this will also be posted publicly at the end of this video, so you guys can all read this. But I do also know or aware that also this other individual, Katherine Dirden, she's also playing hide and seek with people too. Like, she's not responding to a lot of people's messages, as well as other additional individuals have looked into their personal business and also found some things very questionable. So a lot of everything that you're reading here, even though it is going to be presented in court, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of things that hasn't been filed correctly. So this was filed at LA City Court back on the 14th of this month. And one of the complaints, the first one here, there's about 300 lines or so. Defendants have directly or indirectly made use of the means of instrumentalities of interstate commerce of the mails, facilities of national securities exchange and connection, acts and practices, of course, business alleged in this complaint. Then it lists the defendants here. Lupe L, Sonja, Shelby, and Katherine Dirden reside in the district. And again, this is all LA County. This civil enforcement involves an offering fraud perpetrated by defendants SHE Beverage Company and its principals, Lupe L, Sonja, Shelby, Katherine Dirden, located in Lancaster, California. SHE Beverage produces beverages targeting female customers between 2017 and 2019. SHE Beverage raised over $15 million from unregistered stock sales to more than 2,000 investors from across the country. One of the things I definitely want to point out, though, is I'm surprised nobody researched them to see if they actually had a securities license. And another issue is, for those of you who have lost money or invested in this company, or if you're just, just watching this, obviously for the first time, this is not a situation of a deal going bad. Like, hey, I invested in something and the stock market went bad, or hey, I invested money, COVID happened, and then crap hit the fan and we lost all our money. No. This is a situation where people were advertising something. Apparently, they didn't file all the right paperwork, which they knew. In addition to that, they also obviously they didn't have the proper licenses. But addition to that, there were some additional filings that they had to submit to in order for this to be legitimate. So again, this is not a situation where, hey, I gave them, $500, $1,000, $20,000 and just crap fell through. There's a building block of things that were broken, trust issues that happened way before anybody got to this point. In the meantime, they misappropriated half of the offering proceeds, at least $7.5 million, in cash withdrawals and to pay personal expenses, cars and trucks. You guys know the deal. Defendants carried out aggressive fundraising by falsely promoting the company as being successful in a variety of ways. Defendants overstated and mischaracterized the revenues earned by this company since the complaint. The defendants claimed that the company had launched its own brewery, whereas it had not even completed its construction. Now, they do have a facility located in Lancaster, somewhere. I haven't pulled that up on Google Maps, but there is a building that has their name on it. I'm not sure what's in it. They falsely touted the company's bottled water as proprietary and FDA approved when it was neither. So again, this is them saying that this water could cure cancer, which is something you guys can look up yourself. And you got to be careful about that, because remember several years ago, there was a company saying that these little bracelets, remember those little wristbands you could put on your wrist, and they said it improves your balance. I remember they used to have Kobe and several, a bunch of other athletes market this kind of stuff, saying it helps you with your balance. Well, that company got sued for making false representations, and they're not the only one, just using that one as an example. But you can't go around making water or products saying this will cure cancer or something else, and especially if it hasn't even been proved medically. So the principals claim to have millions of their own money invested in the company, whereas their investments were much more modest. So those are just some of the issues there. SHE Beverage fraudulent stock offering was not registered with the SEC. Again, this is something you guys can actually prove. In my personal opinion, there's no defense to any of this, because this is stuff that is all public record. This is not a murder mystery case where there's a bunch of evidence that only they have access to. You guys can look all this stuff up on your own time to find out whether it's true or not. And a bunch of legitimate individuals, reputable, have already looked into their filings and have already found this to be pretty much on point with what the SEC is claiming. The company engaged in general solicitation over the internet. Pretty much what, that's pretty much general. Bonuses and frequently IPO. The only Form S-1 registration statement ever filed by the defendants in January 2020 never went effective and was declared abandoned in 2021. So apparently they did try to file something, but nothing ever went through officially. I want to scroll down here because there's a number of different things that I actually saw that is, I wouldn't even say questionable, but yeah, so definitely that's questionable. So let's go ahead and scroll down here. Rose has never been registered with the SEC. And again, this is what the point that I was making out earlier. Never held any security licenses. That's a big no. Sonja Shelby has never been registered with the SEC in any capacity and has never held any securities licenses. Katherine Dirden, never been registered with the commission in any capacity and has never held any securities or licenses. So all of those are pretty much red flags and things you guys can research right now. Let's go down a little bit further. But yeah, that's a huge no-no. So again, this wasn't a situation where something just went pop. They shouldn't have even been in a position talking about anything or asking for these type of monetary monies without being in this capacity first and making sure you have the proper licenses to discuss anything. I mean, like, even if you are trying to sell life insurance, you can't begin to start selling life insurance unless you have a license to do so. It just doesn't work that way. SHE Beverage was promoted primarily as a women's owned business. Okay, so this is just all information, just setting the groundwork for their case. A lot of the dirty stuff is further down, so we'll kind of go ahead and scroll down a little bit further. And my other take on this is my understanding that Lupe is kind of avoiding everybody, and Katherine Dirden is answering phone calls and picking and choosing who she wants to talk to. But here's the thing. If somebody is truly trying to say that they're innocent or whatever the case might be, and remember, a lot of these people who made this investment, they were personal friends. They weren't, or either maybe personal friends, or whatever the case might be. And don't you think you would have gave them the heads up before any of this went public? I mean, that's the concern that I have. You know, this was apparently, from my understanding, Antelope Valley is a small community, and you know people who invested and you couldn't give them a monthly or weekly update or make people aware to say, hey, you know, my partner did something wrong, whatever the case might be. I'm not sure what their story is going to be, but I'm just saying, if you're completely innocent and you know, you want to pick and choose who you want to talk to, then why didn't you just alert individuals and say, hey, you know, crap's about to hit the fan? You know, that just kind of makes you look really suspicious. So again, along with Rose and Dirden, Shelby was a member of SHE Beverage's 3-person executive team. Rose, Shelby, and Dirden are all signatories on the company's bank account. Now, that's a huge no-no. Now, they could have brought in somebody else who had a securities license and have their name on the account. That probably would have made it look a little bit more, you know, legitimate. But again, this probably just looked like a regular bank account with their names on it. And again, I'm not aware of those things. Maybe some of you are watching this video, as far as what are their procedures as far as when you're investing. Should the money be put into a trust? Should there be assurance attached to it? You know, all those other particulars when you're investing money into an account, that there should be some type of significant oversight for $15 million. All right. So here are the email addresses here. All this stuff is public. I know some of them have already shut down their social media. Between 2017 and 2019, SHE Beverage raised $15 million for more than 2,000 investors. And a lot of people are already pissed regarding this, because some people have probably invested their life savings. SHE Beverage utilized outside consulting to prepare the 2017 OM. 2017 OM included a cover letter and subscription agreement. The subscription agreement requested prospective investors. So let me go ahead and scroll down here, because there's some other stuff here that's really juicy. Okay, this is all just complaints and just allegations. I mean, obviously, I know they're a little bit more than that. SHE Beverage publicly offered its security investors through its website. Okay, they're just setting the groundwork here. As another example, in one 2019 email signed by Rose, SHE Beverage promoted a new minimum level of investment of $1,000 at $2.50 per share, new and existing investors. And that investors can invest an additional investment of at least $1,000 to obtain a chance to win a free trip. All right. And word is just in that there is a notice of suspension on SHE Beverage at their facility. Oh, this gets better and better. In another email dated on or around November 10, 2019, signed by Rose, SHE Beverage promoted the opportunity to invest $50,000 and receive advisory board shares, stating, you can imagine when we open larger or grow at $50 a share. Okay. They've had a bunch of investor meetings. I want to scroll down here. I want to see all the complaints. Okay. See defendants, fraudulent scheme and material misrepresentations and omissions. SHE Beverage and its principals engaged in a scheme to defraud and made material misrepresentations and omissions to prospective and actual investors during the offering. Let's see, SHE Beverage principals with day-to-day control over its operations and disclosures. Rose, Shelby, and Dirden were makers of the statements in SHE Beverage. SHE Beverage and its principals misused investor proceeds by utilizing only 2% of investor funds to purchase beverage inventory, in contrary to the disclosures in beverages. All right, so you know, another thing I definitely want to quickly point out is that's why you got to be very leery of individuals who post photos with celebrities. I know that there were several photos with Magic Johnson and several others, because they could use those photos to make it look like their company or brand is really taking off, when it could just be a quick candid moment of somebody standing there. This is why a lot of celebrities in certain situations don't like taking photos with people. And even certain professional sports players, basketball players, people in the NFL don't like taking photos with kids or women with kids, because in some instances, I know in the past this has happened, where people would try to pass it off and say, oh, that's their daddy. you have people doing stuff like that. And so in cases like this, you may have people taking photos with celebrities to make it look like their business is really taking off. So I'm sure they'll probably look into stuff like that. During SHE Beverages offering, defendants reiterated the intended uses of investor proceeds in the other documents provided to investors. For example, in 2018, guide included descriptions of the companies and beverage and its beverage products, stating that the company would create an elite line that will not only dominate the beverage industry, but also change the way that we drink one sip at a time. Oh, that's nice. All right. So again, this is just a lot of foundational stuff here listed here on this is actually a good line. Reasonable investors would have found it important to important to their investment decision to know that defendants were not purchasing the amounts of inventory the offering materials represented, which would necessarily impact the potential sales of SHE Beverage. Again, all of this stuff can easily be proven. Line 85, defendants Rose and Shelby and Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing that SHE Beverage was misusing investor funds by not purchasing beverage. So this is a very similar situation in where people invest in a company or invest in things, and some of that money could go to buying pens and paper and computer products, whatever, but it actually doesn't really go to the necessary use. I know some organizations have actually done that. I've had friends work at the Red Cross where they actually were volunteering, and most of the money went to the president and other orchestrators of, like, when they had Hurricane Katrina back in Louisiana years ago. A lot of that money went to paperwork and pens and paper, but it didn't actually go to helping people. Went to processing all that stuff, and then most of that, like cents on the dollar, out of every dollar or so, they probably invested 60 cents to maybe 30 cents to actual people. It actually only went to help. 2017 did not disclose that any proceeds would be used for executive compensation. Again, that's exactly what I was talking about. That happens with scenarios like this. However, between 2016 and 2021, Rose and Shelby and Dirden took out at least $7.5 million in investor proceeds as follows. Cash withdrawals and transfers to Rose, Shelby, and Dirden's personal bank accounts. Approximately $1.2 million spent at casinos. Approximately $180,000 to purchase cars and trucks for personal use. And from my understanding, that this Rose lady, she was a showboater. A number of individuals have reported her even at Palmdale Chamber of Commerce, showing off and flossing everything. So yeah, a lot of this stuff is adding up. Now, again, that could have been their own personal thing, and I know a lot of people do it. I mean, heck, I even do that sometimes myself, but it's mine. But you definitely want to kind of keep it on the low when you're investing or people are investing in your company. The amounts Rose, Shelby, and Dirden received from the offering proceeds materially exceeded the amount allocated for the entire company sales, salary, and marketing expenses in 2018. Defendant Rose and the three defendants were reckless, knew or were reckless in not knowing that they were misappropriating investors' funds. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on numbers because there's some other things here. I got about 15 more pages to kind of get through. So let's take a look here. Fiscal year had sold less than $263,000 of merchandise. SHE Beverage audited financial statements and disclosed for the first time. The company did not have $4 to $5 million in revenues in 2018, and of the revenues it had, more than 90% was from event rentals rather than any product sales. Reasonable investors would have found it important to their investment decision to know that SHE Beverage's revenues did not approach the $4 to $5 million described to its investors, and that the revenues it did have came overwhelmingly from events. And again, this is not something I don't think they can really argue, because they've already sent out a number of notices telling people certain things. You can't lie with the numbers. So, and also another thing I definitely want to mention, the SEC just doesn't go after anybody. I mean, there's plenty of companies out there that do questionable things. And to my knowledge, the individuals listed in this complaint, the rumor is that somebody made a false allegation because these three women, or two of them, again, this is what I heard, I can't confirm anything, that somebody made a complaint that these ladies were in some type of extra relationship with one another, something to that effect, and they didn't like that, and so they pulled their money out. That was the rumor. That's one of the complaints that somebody mentioned, or why they pulled their money out, something to that effect. But again, the SEC doesn't care about stuff like that, and they don't just pick and choose who they want to go after. They're not. Yeah, they're really picky and choosy about who they go after unless they have a real legitimate complaint. In or around 2018 to 2020, SHE Beverage falsely promoted to prospective and actual investor that had opened and was operating a brewery for its alcoholic beverages. And again, there's an address listed in this complaint where it's in Lancaster, California, and you guys, drive by, take a look if you want. You got the evidence right there, see if there's a workforce. SHE Beverage claimed that its locations include a brewery and its manufacturing site, as that 10,000 square foot brewery in Lancaster. Emphasis added. You can find the address there. Additionally, in press releases issued on or about January 22nd, 2019 and March 26, 2019, SHE Beverage described itself as the female-owned and operated craft beer brewery and the female-owned and renowned craft beer brewery. In 2019, nothing important there. Again, this is just more foundational stuff. Other test batches in 2020, Department of Alcohol Control. Oh, okay. So in January 2021, the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control indefinitely suspended SHE Beverage's small beer manufacturer license because, among other reasons, SHE Beverage had not engaged in commercial beer manufacturing. Now, for those of you who are probably watching this, if you want to leave it in the comment section below, I know you need to have a liquor license to operate a bar. I'm wondering, do you still need to have a liquor license when you're operating in a liquor manufacturing plant, if that's still required? So I'm sure that'll come up. I'm not familiar with that area, but that would be something interesting to know if they actually had a liquor license, if you need a liquor license to even have a beer manufacturing company. Reasonable investors would have found it important to their investment decision to know that SHE Beverage's brewery was not yet constructed nor operational. So again, for people in the community trying to defend any of these individuals, and if they were truly honest, why didn't they say this back in January? Because I can tell you nobody, and I've talked to a number of people who invested in this company, received any type of notice that they couldn't produce or do what they claimed they were going to do or invested towards in January 2021. There is no notice from SHE Beverage to anybody in January or even up until now that said, hey, we can't produce any beer because we couldn't get our license and the California Department of Alcoholic and Beverage just shut us down indefinitely. If they were innocent, I'm just saying, if they were completely transparent and volunteered some information, even before all of this was put out, I don't think this would have been too hard of a task. But again, you know what we're dealing with. Defendants Rose, Shelby, and Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing that the company's statements regarding the status of its breweries were false and misleading. I mean, like, how could you be shut down and then not know and then not say anything? Like, hey, what's up, guys? Whatever. Defendants misrepresented the status of SHE Beverage's proprietary water formula. All right, so here it is right here. This is what I was talking about. So defendants falsely represented in the 2018 ppm that SHE Beverage sold bottled water made with the proprietary formula that cured cancer and spina bifida, had other health benefits for heart health, fertility, aging, anxiety, PMS, and menopause. and was approved by the FDA. So, stuff like this might lead individuals to jail time when you start messing around with people's health and making it, because imagine if you have a cancer patient and they would have bought some of this water thinking that they didn't need to take medicine anymore because this water would cure. I mean, you guys know the story. This is the same type of situation where pastors in the past would have said, hey, you don't need to take your medication. All I need to do is just lay hands on you or whatever. And, there have been plenty of complaints about situations like that. So this is just another one added to something like that. You got to be real careful about that. So this is really good. Line number 25 is really going to get them in some serious hot water. Contrary to defendants' representations, the bottled water sold under the SHE Beverage private label was not proprietary and was not FDA approved. Rose repeated these claims in a recorded investor meeting on or about June 2nd, 2019. All right, give me a second here. My wife is on her way home. She's picking me up some dinner. All right. Order me some hot dogs for dinner. Okay. 2018 investment guide also claimed that the company used a proprietary process that allowed it to transfer water from any source. After 2017, SHE Beverage purchased bottled water from third-party distributors to sell a SHE Beverage branded product. So they were probably out buying sparkless water and slapping their label on it and claiming it was theirs. SHE Beverage did not make and sell its own proprietary water, but purchased commercially available bottled water. So they basically went over to Walmart and Sam's Club, and I'm just joking there. I mean, I'm not being literal about that, but they probably went over to Sam's Club, Walmart, you guys know, bought some water, slapped their label on it, emptied the bottles, poured it in their own manufacturing label, and say, hey, guys, look what I did. There's plenty of that going around nowadays. So I would definitely mark page 17 as some important information for those of you doing your own research. Defendants Rose and Shelby Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing the company's statements regarding the nature and status of its bottled water was false and misleading. In the alternative, Rose and Shelby and Dirden failed to exercise reasonable care. All right. Let's see. Defendants misrepresented the acquisition offers it received for SHE Beverage. Okay. So I'm not going to read all of this, but basically they were claiming that they got received offers from the company totaling $120 to $500 million. On or about June 2nd, 2019, Rose touted the acquisition offers at a recorded investor meeting, identifying the total $120 million offer as coming from a global spirits company, Beverage. Network marketing company B has no record of any association. So, again, I strongly believe in the whole innocent until proven guilty process. But when you start saying you work with certain people, you invested here and there, there's a trail. And if there is no information there, you could just be easily found guilty just from that. I mean, these are big businesses that they are claiming they were working with, and there's no record of that because they still have to file it for their own personal taxes. Defendants Rose, Shelby, and Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing the company's statements regarding acquisition offers received for SHE Beverage were false and misleading. Now, I also want to add something here too. Now, because this took place over an accumulation of years, I'm sure a number of you probably filed your taxes who invested in this company and said, hey, I have a tax write-off. I invested in this and that. And as of right now, I don't know from a tax perspective how legitimate that would even be, considering all that's even false. I mean, I know it's not your fault by investing money in this company, but when you did your taxes, you would have said, yeah, I invested in SHE Beverage or whatever. Then you find out it's, it's a bunch of crap. It's not even real. So that's probably something else that they're going to get caught on. You know what? IRS may jump in on this. Because obviously, when you have this kind of money going on and people investing money, they're going to have some write-offs. So, yeah, that's going to come up as well. The 2019 investment guide stated that Rose and Shelby Dirden had personally invested $3.7 million foundational capital to create that brand. Defendants Rose, Shelby, and Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing that they were overstating the amount of their personal financial investment in the company. Defendants falsely portrayed the imminence of the company's planned initial public offering. Let me just kind of skim through this a little bit. The company's planned IPO, encouraging existing investors to invest in additional monies while the company was still pre-IPO and the share price was $2.50. So they didn't even have anything. They didn't even have anything on paperwork, according to this claim, that said that their share price was $2.50 per share. Defendants encouraged investors to purchase shares right away, stating that the stock price would be higher after the IPO. For example, on or about February 8, 2018, in an email to investors signed by Rose, SHE Beverage stated that the investors who invested within the next week or so will have the registered shares through SEC. Okay. And they've been sending out plenty of these. I mean, there have been plenty of emails that SHE Beverage sent out. So again, this is all accurate, that you can find out yourself. So those days away from ringing that bell. Yeah, I heard something about this where there was an email they sent out saying that they were days away from ringing that bell. Totally not true. Yeah, that they did announce. I definitely know this is true. That they were days away from going public and qualifying with the NASDAQ. The additional financial statements filed with SHE Beverage from Form S1 on January 2020 only covered the fiscal years 2017 and 2018. The company did not file any audited financial statements for its fiscal year in 2019. Let's take a look here. We're going to go down a little bit further. Yeah, company, the three ladies failed to exercise reasonable care to SHE Beverage in their statements. Defendants falsely portray SHE Beverage's acquisition of Elite Green. So again, you have a big paper trail here. This isn't just them pulling money out of a bank account and running, wild with it, which would be an accusation. You could talk to representatives from this company and just find out if it's true or not. I mean, this is easy. You can check the Secretary of State website to find out if they actually had an acquisition for Elite Green. There's just too much additional public sources you can research for yourself to find out if they even have a chance in court. So on or about December 11, 2018, SHE Beverage issued a press release detailing its incredible advancements. Elite Green stating that the company had been rebranded as the Pink Leaf. Okay. At the time it was acquired, Elite Green did not have any cannabis licenses or growing facilities and had not sold any product. Again, that's a quick Google search right there. I'm not going to look them up now because I don't want this video to be too long, but, it's out there. The 2018 PPM stated that the company is not expected to have significant dealings with affiliates. Prior to its acquisition by SHE Beverage, Elite Green was owned by Shelby's sisters. Okay. Wow. Interesting. All right. SHE Beverage's Form S1 filed in January 2020 revealed that the Elite Green subsidiary, subsequently renamed Pink Leaf SHE as of 2020, had no assets or operations other than the capitalized product formulations purchased by the company. Defendant failed to disclose to SHE Beverage investors that Elite Green had no revenues, no licenses to sell cannabis, and it was acquired from related parties without any independent evaluation. Again, this is a huge track record of you know, you're trying to run this scam, whatever you want to call it. You're associating with other businesses, but even the businesses you're not even affiliated with have any licenses. So again, I want to reiterate, this is not just a situation of, oh, I invested my money and things just didn't work out. No, they're creating a huge trail here of associations that even the associations aren't even registered to do business. Obviously, reasonable investors would have found it important to their investment decisions to know SHE Beverage Acquisitions had no business operations and had not independently valued prior to its acquisition, as well as that Elite Green was acquired from related parties. So defendant Rose, Shelby, and Dirden knew or were reckless in not knowing that the company's disclosures regarding SHE Beverage, SHE Beverage's acquisition of Elite Green were false and misleading. So they got this thing going on. This is like a Ponzi scheme within themselves. So you got Rose, you got Shelby, Shelby's sisters, and Dirden all plotting together to mislead investors, according to this, declaration here by the state. On or about January 2020, SHE Beverage filed a Form S1 registration. I'm going to skip all this. Rose and Shelby signed a management representation letter. Okay, so here's some more brief history. Line 184. Rose was SHE Beverage's most senior executive and had ultimate decision-making authority for SHE Beverage. Now, that is the lady who is currently on the run or in hiding and avoiding people, and that's the one that's currently receiving death threats. She reviewed the disclosures, made no investors during the offering and or signed her name to them, including the offering memoranda, the investment guides, press release, investor email, etc., etc. Okay. Shelby was held out as SHE Beverage's most senior financial officer. She reviewed the disclosures made to investors during the offering and or signed her name to them, including the offering memoranda. She signed SHE Beverage's investor emails as a member of SHE Beverage's executive team. She attended investor meetings where offering materials were provided. She worked directly with the consultant who assisted in the preparation of SHE Beverage's offering materials. Again, so I just definitely want to point out some of these individuals or people who may be on their side or whatever the case might be, want to defend stuff like that. But again, this is a situation where I say, well, then why didn't somebody whistleblow? I mean, if you're claiming you're innocent, then why didn't you say, hey, back in January, February, or whatever, that things aren't going so well? I mean, even that, give someone who invested or send out an email, say, hey guys, some stuff isn't going right. I haven't talked to my other two associates. I don't know what's going on. I'll let you know as soon as I hear back. There's been absolutely nothing, but yet these individuals want to claim or promote their perpetual innocence way before this crap hit the fan. I'm not talking about something recently. I'm talking about months ago. You could have said, hey, friend, family member, I know you invest your money, but there's some fishy stuff going on down here, and I'm going to try to figure it out for everybody. Something like that. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Dirden was SHE Beverage's point of contact. Of course, she reviewed the disclosures made to investors during the offering, signed her name to them, including the offering memoranda, investment guides, investor emails. Okay. She worked directly with the consultant who assisted in preparation of SHE Beverage's offering materials. Rose and Shelby and Dirden each had access to and control over SHE Beverage's bank account. So again, neither one of these ladies can say, well, I didn't know money was being pulled out of the account. Now, this is not a situation where, I've seen pastors misappropriating funds and let's say the board doesn't know about it, because typically in some of those situations, only one person would know about it. But all of these three people had apps and the password to see what the balance was from day to day or month to month to find out if something shady was going on, and didn't blow the whistle on anything. So no, you can't proclaim your innocence and say, well, I just didn't know, when you didn't try to operate in some type of transparency to investors that you personally may have known. So we're just going to scroll down here. Defendants did not take steps to verify prospective investors' financial sophistication or whether they were accredited investors. Okay. General solicitation. Investors included investors were not accredited investors. The defendants did not provide prospective investors with detailed financial information. No, they didn't. As its issue of the shares. So securities perspective. Okay. Rose, Shelby, and Dirden directly offered and sold SHE Beverage securities. Each communicated with investors concerning the offering individually or as a member of the company's three-person executive team by email, in person, or by phone, or attended investor meetings where prospective and actual investors were provided SHE Beverages offering material. Rose and the ladies, indirectly offered and sold SHE Beverage securities. Each was a substantial factor and a necessary participant in the SHE Beverage stock sales. So here we go. This is more of the juicy stuff down here. The SEC realleges and incorporates by reference paragraphs 1 through 190. So there's more of the actual dirt here about what they're actually getting charged down here. All right, I may have to pause here for just a minute. My wife is almost home, so I could help her with the stuff, but I may have to pause, so I'll come right back here. I'll mute my mic. Well, I'll give you guys a heads up here. Fraudulent offering and made material misrepresentations and omissions to prospective and actual investors, touting SHE Beverage as a successful beverage company. Defendants concealed that minimal funds were spent to purchase inventory. The ladies funneled investor monies to their personal expenses and withdrew it in cash. Yeah, there's a lot of people that's not going to like that. Not so much of the whole investing thing, because they were friends with a lot of people. Their children, family members go to school with a lot of people in a very tight community. So, yeah. Again, this is not a, well, you put some money in and it just didn't work out. By the company, they had never received and falsely portrayed the company's products in advance of its IPO in all effort to continue bringing in investors' money that they spent in ways that were never disclosed to its investors. All right. All right, we are on page 25 here. All right, give me about 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I know I'm live. Apologize, but give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I'm just going to mute my microphone. I got to do the, what do you call it? The honeydews. All right, be right back. All right, we're back. Okay, so let's see, where are we? Uh, yeah, Angelica's home. Let's see, made untrue statements of material fact. Okay. Consumer roles have with being public by the conduct described in detail above. So again, this is not a situation where somebody can literally say they're innocent. In terms of, you need to know if you have licenses, right, to do certain things. I mean, I'm not going to walk into a courtroom and tell everybody I'm a lawyer and know that I don't have a law degree or have a particular license to do certain things. I mean, that. And so, yeah, let's just continue. By engaging in the conduct described above, the defendants, SHE Beverage, Rose, and Shelby, and Dirden have violated, and unless restrained and enjoyed, will continue to violate Section 10B of the Exchange Act. All the rules here, you got those. Fraud in the offer or sale of securities. So this is huge. This is one of the major complaints here. I'm glad I'm now on page 26, going all the way up to page 29. So this is where you'll find more of the juicier dirt about what they're being accused of. The ladies carried out a fraudulent offering and made material representations and omissions to prospective and actual investors, touting SHE Beverage as a successful beverage company. Defendants concealed that minimal funds were spent to purchase inventory, while Rose and Shelby Dirden funneled investor monies to their personal expenses and withdrew it in cash. Defendants overstated and mischaracterized the company's revenues and their own investments in the company, advertised offers to buy the company they had never received, and falsely betrayed the company's products and the imminence of its IPO, all in an effort to continue bringing in investor monies that they spent in ways that they were never disclosed to its investors. By engaging in conduct described above, defendants SHE Beverage, Rose, Shelby, and Dirden, each of them have directly or indirectly in the offer or sale of securities and by use of means, instruments of transportation or communication to interstate commerce by the use of mail. Is this mail fraud? You know what? They may. I'm trying to think. Who was that got convicted of mail fraud? Was that Al Capone? Somebody? No, that was tax evasion. But there was somebody else that got nailed for mail fraud for, doing these things. Because when you communicate all these securities and letters, investment and stuff, that could potentially be mail fraud. But I can't think of who it was that got convicted of something like that. So that might be something else they may look into. Employ devices, schemes, or artifices to defraud, obtain money or property by means of untrue statements of a material fact or by omitting to state a material fact necessary in order to make the statements made. Yeah, that could be mail fraud or wire fraud. I wonder if that's listed down below. I haven't actually looked at this, but again, just down the hole we go. Negligence, obtain money or property by means of untrue statements of a material fact or by omitting to state a material fact necessary in order to make the statements made. In light of the circumstances under which they were made, not misleading, and with, I'm not exactly even sure how you pronounce it, senator or negligence. I'm not sure if that's a typo of, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Engage in transactions, practices, or courses of business which operated or would operate as a fraud or deceit upon the purchaser. The ladies have violated unless restrained and enjoined will continue to violate all these sections here. We're not going to read all those. The defendants' offers and sale of SHE Beverage stock were never registered with the SEC. Never. Nor were they subject to any examination from registration. Defendants engaged in nationwide offering using general solicitation sold to unaccredited investors and took no steps to verify the sophistication or accreditation status of prospective investors. See, I didn't even know they had to do that when you're an investor. Yeah, so a lot of this stuff is directly or indirectly involved. So there's no excuse for any of this stuff. This went on for a number of years. In concert with others, have made use of about means or instruments of transportation or communication in interstate commerce or of the mails to offer, sell, or mail. By any means necessary, transportation securities or the purpose of sale or delivery sale. When no registration statement has been filed or was in effect as to securities, and when no exemption from registration was applicable. With the defendant, SHE Beverage roles during violating unless restrained. Prayer for relief. So now keep in mind the SEC, they don't typically go after people to get your money back. You know, they make a claim to stop people from what they're doing and let them know what their crime is. Issue judgments and forms are consistent with Rule 65D of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, permanently enjoining defendants, SHE Beverage roles, Shelby and Dirden, and their officers, agents, servants, employees, and attorneys, and those persons in active or participation with any of them to receive actual notice of any judgment by personal service or otherwise, and each of them from violating the additional securities. During their officers, okay. Just trying to stop them from doing this any further. Order defendants to disgorge all funds received from their illegal conduct together with prejudgment interest thereon. So, not exactly sure what that means, but it means that they need to give up the money that they received or disgorge. Oh, we'll look that up. Order defendant to pay civil penalties. Okay. All right. So that seems kind of light right in here as far as what they're trying to do. This is the end of the document, page 29, dated September 14. But primarily, I just definitely wanted to kind of go over this with most of you. All the concerns that I had, a lot of the concerns that's going on in the community that people are having in regards to this debacle and mess. I don't see what their defense could be. I mean, again, this is a huge, paper trail, and over 2,000 people were affected. This went on for years. Their personal friends, probably family members, other people in that community. It's a very small community. It's not like Los Angeles, San Diego, some other areas. But, why would they crap in the same city as where they lay their head? I don't know. That just doesn't make any sense, as far as doing this type of stuff. But there's a huge paper trail that says they didn't do a lot of stuff, and it's there. I mean, there's no defense in that. But again, guys, welcome to the Adventure Channel, and I definitely wanted to make sure that all of you had a chance to look at this. I haven't seen any news coverage on it. Just wanted to kind of quickly go through this. I know that I've been on here for about an hour, but pass this around. I know there's not really any videos on it. I talked to a buddy the other day. He said it was on Channel 7, but I haven't seen anything. So just thought I'd put this out there for people having questions about it, because maybe not everybody knows about it, but I could definitely tell you that crap hit the fan. And, one of the other thing I definitely want to point out, I really hope there aren't any parishioners, or I wouldn't say parishioners, I'm sorry, ministers who are trying to stand in the gap, so to speak, for individuals who do stuff like this, particularly these type of individuals, to say, we're standing in agreement for you, or let's take up a church offering to help defend your legal case, because there's just way too much evidence here, and you should be spending more of your time. I hope that doesn't happen, because honestly, if that happens, I would put them on blast to see a clergyman trying to raise funds for these individuals for their legal fees instead of trying to get somebody their money back. Because we all know there's just way too many games being played when people do stuff like this, and it's just uncalled for. So I hope there's no individual that does some mess like that, because I will call them out. So again, guys, we're going to sign off here. I hope you enjoyed the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed watching everything here. I will catch you guys next time. Like and share, subscribe. Peace. This is a real sad day for people to do stuff like this because it just shouldn't happen. All right. Later.